We are live, and I'm alive after Erzberg, which is a bit of a chore. It was an exciting experience. Today, we have a guest, Kevin Miller. Kevin's a good friend of mine. I've known Kevin for a few years now. To me, he's kind of one of the pioneers of the current contemporary hard enduro. He's raced throughout Africa. He was one of the original Romaniacs racing and just been all over the place. And to me, he's always been an influence to adventure riding and, some of the world travel. The guy's been a lot of places. He's done a lot of things, and we're still ripping today. So without further ado, Kevin Miller, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for being alive and returning from Austria.
Yeah, it was with those downhills, it was a wonder.
I bet.
For sure.
Didn't look easy.
No, it wasn't. We had great weather. The few days before, there was a lot of rain. Then the sun came out, and so did the heat, so did the humidity. And it was a gladiator throwdown for sure.
I bet the enduro freaks were there.
Yeah, those boys don't mess around. When you have close to 40,000 people camping, it's pretty interesting, man.
Beer tents are flowing.
Yeah, I think the beer tent was probably 100 feet wide and maybe 500 feet long.
Yeah, I can picture the souls that were in there for sure.
Yeah, we had Dutchie, I think, got the gold medal in the beer slide table. I think they had it elevated about 10 feet off the ground and then basically scaled the tables all the way down to ground level or pretty close. I think they only dropped 2 or 3 feet to hit the ground at the end, but
4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah, so I definitely know someone who was there till 4 o'clock in the morning.
We won't mention names.
We won't mention names.
Shame.
It may rhyme with Blaine Foss, but
no names here.
Yeah, no names. We're not trying to get anybody in trouble, but I got to give credit to the guy. He parties till 4 in the morning, rolls out of his van, misses his prologue start time by at least 2 hours. So the track's even deteriorating further. Gets on the bike, knocks out a time. I think he was made 3rd or 4th row. Totally respectable time. Climbs back in the van, sleeps all the way through to the next day, and then gets up and does his prologue early the next day. But I don't think he bettered his time. Dutchie, I'm pretty sure was drunk when he did the prologue.
Loosened him up a little bit.
Yeah, he's from the Netherlands. I think that's normal there. But it was
the water is not that great there, so
no, a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, they like their beer
a lot. Dutchie really likes his beer, hence winning the beer slides, which I think was a highlight of his weekend. But these camps, I was surprised. They're used to mud. They're used to this. People brought entire floor systems, raised floor systems for their camps. They had disco balls, big PAs, pumping club music all night long, and burnouts nonstop. It was crazy.
I bet you heard the rev limiter a few times.
I heard so much rev limiter. It was amazing.
Yeah. They don't want to get their trainers dirty either.
No.
So hence the elevated floors.
For sure. And it was interesting. The Erzberg situation, especially with the prologue, was definitely a learning curve for me. I didn't realize or I didn't grasp entirely that most of Western Europe, they don't really have anywhere to ride true enduro.
No.
There's no land unless you know a landowner. Guys like Graham Jarvis, Paul Bolton, those guys obviously get into some places. But for the general rider, you're basically shit out of luck. You're stuck to sand tracks, moto tracks.
Car parks.
You probably knew this, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Car parks. That's why their slow wheelies are so cool. They practice them for days on end.
You only can do so much in a car park, right?
Yeah.
So, getting out there, you come thinking, all right, we're set up for hard enduro. And these guys rock up. They're keen. They're just so excited to be at a place that they can be on a dirt bike. You have no idea how excited these people are. I mean, it's like the Super Bowl of life. It's like, hey, were free. The 24MX gave them a play area, basically a bunch of hills just to go knock themselves out. And literally they were like bees. Just, I got to be honest. I went down there once, climbed a couple of the hills, and feel that I basically got out of there with my life. It was complete pandemonium.
Oh, yeah. Yep. The dogs are loose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I said to Mitch Carvolth and I were going up the road after running the prologue, and all these crazy antics are going on dirt bikes. And I go to Mitch, I go, I don't think these guys get out much.
No.
And he's
they're one time a year.
Oh, yeah. So they come to ride the prologue, and they're pretty much moto setup, moto suspension, moto tires, which actually for the prologue is good. A lot of them riding 350, 450, 4-strokes, and they don't really care. They know that they're not going to finish, and they know they're not going to go that far in the main race. So all they want to do is just lay down a burner of a prologue time.
Yeah.
And so ultimately it makes it ultra competitive. And to give you an idea, on the second that I finished, on that 1 second, there were 16 other riders that finished on my second. I was like 0.009. The next guy's 0.012, 0.023. And then the next second had 8-9 guys. The next second, 12 guys. That competitive. So in the future, probably might end up there again. We'll see. But definitely moto tire, moto setup, moto suspension setup for the prologue, because it's stupid fast, stupid rough, really dangerous. There's a lot of endos, a few broken legs, broken arms.
I bet that steering dampener came in handy.
It was quite tidy. It was nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it saved my life or not, but it may have.
Yeah. Well, they've been known to do that.
May have for sure. And then really the downhills. Downhills, hard to describe. It's basically like simulated suicide.
So your ski training didn't kick in?
A little bit. I knew enough that you need to let the brakes go to make some turns.
Yeah.
But then you get going even faster towards the boulder pile with the cliff edge.
Keep it real.
I guess.
Keep it real.
That's why I'm always so happy when I'm going downhill that I weigh as much as I do, because it means that I get to go faster than everyone else out of control.
Yeah, and you get to test the brakes too.
Yeah, I look forward to that. That's great.
Yeah, if they're going to do any brake tests, you could do it for them.
I might be the guy for it.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about is when we were looking at Romaniacs, and you've been a huge influence for Romaniacs for me and a lot of others. And I remember your original story, you had found Romaniacs before most people in the U.S. had any idea. You tell us a little bit, kind of how you found it and how that happened, because I thought it was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, well, it all started really back in about mid-'90s when the Roof of Africa was the big hard enduro race.
Alfie Cox, man.
Alfie Cox and Daryl Curtis and some of my teammates, the Graham McLaughlin and some other guys that were on the program that I was in, were all competitive, and Alfie was definitely the man to beat. But I traveled there in '97 and rode.
So you were racing in Africa.
I was racing in Africa and doing cross country off roads with the Honda Race Shell Oil Lesotho office equipment team, and it was just a invite to see if I could, mold into the dirt biking scene there. And the guys told me, if you can ride and we like you, then you can stay. And so I got a visa South Africa to give me a visitor's visa for 2 years, and went in there with the intention of racing the off-road circuit and ultimately do the Roof of Africa, because the extreme racing was kind of my gig at the time. And Japanese two-stroke bikes, 250 two-stroke bikes were what I always rode. And they raced Honda CR250 the first year of aluminum frame. And so that just fit perfectly, especially in the extreme enduro, lighter, quicker bike, easier to handle, easier to pick up than a lot of the off-road bikes at that time. And so it was a natural fit. And I showed up, raced some of the off-roads. I was in the middle of a Barbara Spawn 500, which was a race 500 kilometers and 300 miles. It equaled about 7 hours of racing. About 3 hours in, I had a head-on collision with a car. Myself and the car, we'd both wrong slotted. Car was coming back. I come around the corner, hit the front of the car, dang near break my femur. I mean, it probably should have broke my femur, but didn't. And make it back to camp. And the South African guys are like, you need to toughen up, Yank. they're like, this is Africa. You need to toughen up. Well, 6 weeks of recovery to get myself back. Did a couple more small races, and the roof was like 3 or 4 more months until the roof happened. And I rode the roof course like every weekend. We'd go to Lesotho and ride the course, and it was really just fit my style and just was perfect. And so I was excited for that. And then another race, wicked high speeds, just disgusting speeds involved, and was like, this is maybe not for me, this high speed across the desert African racing. So I went home, kind of kept my, tucked my tail between my legs and went home. And this is 97. So then about 10 years later, I'm hiding out in my basement that you used to live in and surfing the internet again. And at that time, Cycle News was just a weekly newspaper print. And I see in the bottom corner a picture of a motorcycle being trolleyed across a canyon on a cable. And just a small write-up says, if you're tough enough to withstand the terrain and the whole adventure of it and everything. And me being a Rocky Mountain citizen, riding in the mountains and finding your path and everything was just natural, free and open riding. I thought, well, why not go to Romania and see what it's like, So 2006, first year, went, and it was at this point in time, I was already 36 years old and had a broken wrist and like a long-standing injury there. And I was like, yeah, this will be good just for the adventure, whatever. But, I'm going to sign up in the top class for sure. So I signed up at that time it was called the pro class. Now it's called the gold class. And there was I think there was about 17 or 18 guys in the class.
And was that team or individual?
It was individual. The team was the Silver Riders, or at that time it was called Expert, because of the nature of the race being, out in the wilderness. They consider wilderness for 6 days. They didn't feel comfortable having, a lot of riders out there by themselves. So the cutoff times were dark. If you didn't make it by dark, you weren't out of the race, but you got a penalty and you had to start again the next morning in order to stay in the race. And so a lot of guys were not even making it in that night, and they would finally get back 2, 3, 4 in the morning, up at 5:30, or no sleep at all, get back out there, and you were still in the race, but with the time penalties. And so 2006 went off for me fairly well. I had 2 major time penalties that cost me massive amounts of time, but I still finished. I think I was technically the last finisher in the race in the pro class, and thought to myself, oh, there's so much more I could do just to clean up the mistakes I made, not get those time penalties.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's interesting you say that. I mean, I'll let you run with it, but I think that is one of the greatest gifts I've received from Romaniacs, is that it is long enough and gnarly enough that it'll expose any weakness you have as a rider.
Oh yeah.
And literally club you with it to the point where you can be in denial all you want, it breaks through denial, that it says, hey, listen, these are shortcomings in your game, and they crush you there.
Yeah.
And the neat thing is you got to bring that home and retool and learn and figure those things out. And it just makes you an overall better rider. It's just one of the greatest things to truly test yourself.
Oh yeah. Yep. And the plan for me at that time was 2 years. And I tell everybody, since then, taking lots and lots of riders to the race and kind of helped them along with it. And first thing I say is make it a 2-year plan. Don't expect yourself to know what's going on in the first year. Even if you're racing and riding and training and doing everything you can possibly do, that race itself is a different beast. And it's more of a chess game that you have to play out properly over a period of time, not something you're going to learn in the first year.
It is. And I guess I'll ask you this question. I'm interested to get your perspective. When I look at it, it's funny. Most people have done some racing of some kind, and a lot of people have done a lot of racing. And you look at a Romaniacs, and you're like, all right, well, it's just a race, right? Just like any race, right? I show up and I do okay. But I'll tell you, it's not just a race.
No.
It's something different. It's a completely different animal. It's not a race. It's something else.
I call it an odyssey. It's an odyssey.
Well, it's something because it's not something you're like, oh, I'm going to train for a couple months and go knock it out. It's like literally if you want to go and you want to survive it and you do not want a time bar, it's almost dedicating a full year.
You better.
Of a minimum. And it's just not something you just show up and do.
No.
It's just, like you said, it's an odyssey. It's a different animal.
Yeah. And the format of the race has changed a bit over time. First year for me was the original 6-day race, with the 7th day being a prologue in the city. And the organizer, Martin, wanted to put on a race that showcased the entire country of Romania. So we raced from one point to another point every night, staying in a different motel, different everything, and the whole race traveled around like a caravan. You had to have your technical support people, your mechanics, everything travel every morning. Show up at the finish line, usually 10, 12 hours every day. I think Cyril Dupree did it in about 7 or 8 on an average. And then, the mid pack or even the tail end pack of the pro class was 10, 12 hours easy every single day.
Yeah, that's a Dakar. It's a 6-day Dakar effort
with like 500 hill climbs in between.
Yeah.
Where you're maybe on your bike, you might not be on your bike. You hope to be around your bike. Sometimes you're not. I saw people do things that you just didn't think was possible. And it was a learning experience, fun to do. Definitely took some years out of my life, I think. It changed the way I looked at things. And when I got home,
like in what way?
Well, the things that you were required to do, you wouldn't normally you might do them once, twice, just for fun, short little hills, downhills, things like that. But when you're doing it for 8 hours straight and you're descending or you're climbing just massive amounts of vertical, you don't really have the chance to set up for that in your normal riding. So you were pushing your envelope every single time. You knew you had to do it because you were in a race, and there's Red Bull TV and there's cameras and there's people from all over the world. And you just say, to heck with it, I'm doing it. I paid the money, I'm here, I'm doing it. And you wouldn't normally want to do it, or even, you wouldn't even dare your friend to do it. But here you are, you've got to do it. And so we did that for however many days straight. 1 year was 6 days, the next year was 4 days, and currently it's 4 days. So 4 days later, you're not the same person. Your mind has been stretched and twisted, and your body's completely shot. I mean, you spend every single ounce of energy you could possibly, muster. And when it was all said and done, I could sit back and say, well, I did that, and then don't need to do it again. That's kind of the morphus of my head when it came to that race. I was like, if I never do that again, I'll be happy. But the younger generation and the up and coming kids that are, or competitors that are doing this, they're going to do it once. Hopefully they do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, however many times. And every time they're going to come back just a little bit different than they were before.
Yeah. I think I'm one of those older kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on the third effort, and it's definitely changed me and how I look at things, and it's galvanized me. I've had, like you said, you're so knackered at the end of the day, but there's something about it when you show up in the morning and everyone else is there and all the photographers are there and they got the cameras and you're starting with the Red Bull arch. I don't know, man. You're just kind of like, fuck it. Here we go again.
Yeah.
And as soon as you pull that throttle a little bit, you're like, it's on. It's on again.
6 a.m.
Off you go, man.
Usually wet, usually humid, cold. And you're just getting started. Your gear's still wet from the night before. And you've got 6, 7, 8 hours ahead of you. And you don't really think of the course so much as you think of the whole event and everyone that's around and how you're going to gel with everyone. A lot of times you run into situations where you don't speak the language, somebody's holding you up, or you're being pushed to keep up with somebody or something like that. And just jumping into that community and having the camaraderie with the other riders and the little sub pods that you form, the little dirt biker packs that happen every single day. You end up with the same guys around, and pretty soon what hand signals and what things mean, different things, and you start to communicate in ways that you couldn't communicate before because you didn't really speak the language with each other. But everybody speaks hard enduro language, so pretty soon you've got a whole group of guys you're around, and everybody's having a good time, and you look forward every day to meeting up with those same kind of group of guys and riding and spending the day out in the forest or whatever with them and putting on an adventure, and you're rewarded every day with just getting to the finish.
Oh yeah.
That's the game.
And you definitely, you have your battle groups too, which is interesting.
Oh yeah.
The guys you battle with, and to go day after day and mix it up, because as you know, the way they place it, as you finish each day, that sets your place for the next day. So what it kind of does is kind of groups you in your start with guys who are of similar speed,
mm-hmm.
A little slower, a little faster. You're right in your mix. So all of a sudden, now you got guys to battle with. And that I think that helps push it to the end. That helps you push it to the end each day to see if you can outlast them, if you can break them, or if they break you.
Yeah.
Which hopefully is not the case, but it's something else. We have a great lot of local guys. We got a great crew of where we train in Romania going this year, and you're going
big time.
Yeah, you're going again. And man, we have a murderous row going.
Yeah, it's a motley crew for sure.
Yeah, there's some serious riders.
I hope the Russians come back.
I like the Russians. I like the Russians' attitude. This last year, I battled with 3 of them, and 2 of them were brothers. And these guys, talk about put it all down. I mean, they hit everything with everything they got. There is no holding back. It was impressive. And we battled for 2 days straight. I'd get by them. They weren't as technical, but then they'd catch up in some other section, back and forth and back and forth. And luckily on the 3rd day, I finally broke them.
Yeah,
they ran out of steam.
They're not as probably physically fit as you were.
No, I was trying to be on point for sure, but it just made it that much, because you're not thinking about the elapsed time. You're out there laying it down, just trying to conquer everything you can conquer and get on to the next step. I've almost like anymore the term spawn till you die. You're just like the salmon. You keep jumping up that ladder. They don't care if bears are swatting at you or you get knocked back down. Man, you get back in that water, you launch, heading upstream.
Yep, and every day you're just a little different color.
To becoming a carcass.
Because the end is near.
Yeah, the end is near. But you're right. Most races, you get done with a race and, that night having a beer or whatever, or the next night, kind of like, oh man, I can't wait to do this again. And I've been there a couple times and you've been there. And 2 nights after, I've had plenty of good food, plenty of sleep. And you're like, so you going to do it next year? And man, you get a blank stare, fuck, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just that much of a commitment.
Oh yeah, you better be ready. Better be mentally ready and physically ready to make it through. If you're not, you're done.
Yeah, bear fodder.
Yeah.
And we see it. Those guys get bounced out so quick. And it's weird because, the Romaniacs is such a different animal in itself. And then experiencing Erzberg, it's weird. It again is different. It's a different program. I don't know if it's the frequency of the ups and downs, or if it's part of it's because it's a mine and there's a lot of kind of not so natural obstacles. But I don't know if it's just the frequency of gnarly stuff just being thrown at you left, right. And then obviously a gazillion guys in battle mode all around you. But it's a different, again, that's one you can kind of start and no matter what, it's going to be over in a few hours.
Yeah.
So I guess you can look forward to that. But now I'm kind of looking at, all right, what do you need to do to get to the front? I don't think no one's ever finished off the third row. And I think there's only 2 people that have finished off the second row. And that's Graham Jarvis and Billy Bolt. And they're not really slouches.
No, they're pretty decent at it.
So, if you're anywhere back behind the third row, you're just in there for an exercise of really just trying to be the best salmon you can be.
Yeah. You're shrapnel.
Pretty much. That's how I felt, man. I don't know that I'd ever been so spent after a race, after I put in my effort and I got by 260 some guys and it was everything I had to get by.
You're ready for a nap.
I don't know, man. I thought I was going to die. You'll find it pretty interesting. As I got done and the horn blew, I pulled off, and I was kind of by myself in this section. I was feeling kind of dizzy. I don't know if I had heat exhaustion going on, but really didn't feel well. And I lay on this rock and just trying to get my bearings and just kind of let things settle. And I look to the left of me, and I see this yellow, 1/8-inch diameter cord kind of daisy chaining off down the ridge. And then I look to the right of me, and there it continues on the other side. And then if I look closer, there's these big brand new red blasting caps affixed to dynamite. One 2 feet to the right of me and one 2 feet to the left. And I was just like, well, fuck, I guess this is perfect, man. This thing blows. I'm cremated, buried, at Erzberg, all one shot. Had a good life.
Can I have your bike?
Well, the bike was they're pretty good at dropping those cliffs, when they drop them, when they detonate them to basically, bring in the payloaders and take them out. So the bike was probably 20 feet off the ledge. So I think it still would have been there.
Well, next time I'll keep my eye on it.
You'll scavenge.
Yeah. Come back and get the parts.
Yeah. Well, there could be some parts for that. So now we've got in the U.S., the Hard Enduro is obviously growing. We have the AMA kind of regional qualifier series, if you will, for the TKO main event.
Mm-hmm.
And in a couple weeks or a week and a half, we have the Silver Mountain Extreme that Greg puts on over in Idaho. And it's, I think, as you know, we were discussing, I mean, really as far as a hard enduro, currently it's really the only big mountain, like true big mountain, natural terrain, hard enduro race in the country.
Yeah, I think Red Bull should put their name on it.
Somebody should. When you look at the venue, and I kind of look at, you know, if you look at the hard enduro in the U.S. as a crown, I'd have to say it has the right ingredients to be the jewel crown of hard enduro in the United States. The terrain is there, and Greg makes it better each year. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a lot of stress on those guys, because the guys that build the tracks and set up the tracks, they're trying to make this balance where they want it to be extremely difficult, but they want people to finish. They don't want to put something in that is too hard and nobody finishes. And you had that happen in Erzberg a few years ago in Green Hell. If those 5 riders didn't join up, nobody would have made it up. So they all crossed the line together and 5 first places. But it would have been kind of a downer, I'd imagine, if, you know, you had the race and you had no finishers and everyone at the finish line's like, all right, let's go home.
Until next year.
You know, so I mean, that's kind of an interesting thing. So when you talk to those promoters, and like Greg, for example, you know, he's really concerned that, you know, he's putting together the hardest course possible, but doesn't want to overdo it. And then they're trying to estimate how the top guys are going to perform in that environment. And that's a hard one to hit when you got, you know, you got guys like Cody Webb, you got guys like Colton Haker in it, and Keith Curtis, you know, kind of the, you know, dark horse, comes in from the snowmobile world just to, you know, knock off some pro events. Mm-hmm. And you have these talented riders that make the impossible seem not so impossible. But, you know, I think he's doing a great job. He's told me he's made it umpteen times harder this year. And so it'll be interesting to see. But I think they strike the balance of, they don't want to alienate the regular people as well by making it so difficult to locals. But man, I mean, it'd be interesting to get your point on this, because in Europe, it's all right. I mean, the locals, it's just, I think people need to come to grips that it's not a kind of race that you come in and you sign up for, you know, 30B and you're expecting, or, you know, sign up for whatever class, doesn't matter, that you just show up and you go home with a trophy.
Yeah, it's not everybody gets a prize.
Yeah, it's not that kind of race.
In Europe, they I think they get a bit of satisfaction out of just attending the race.
Yeah.
They don't actually have to finish the race or do well. Just the fact that they are there and able to race is the biggest, like, prize for them. In the U.S., it's, you know, like you said, they don't want to alienate people. They want to make everybody feel special and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I back to the point of the difficulty of the race. Last year, we sat up there in the hardest section that they had, and this is before any of the racers came through, and Greg was there, and our boy Keith came through just like nothing, you know, just gone. And he goes, "Oh man, I didn't know if anybody was going to even be able to do this section." And I looked at him and I said, that's probably about 1/10 as difficult as what Keith would need to be challenged. And he thought, "You serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And then it was probably 25 minutes before the next rider even showed up.
Yeah.
And Tristan Hart was there. He had a difficulty with his bike, so he had to go back to the pits. He was clearly should have been the next guy, but he had this massive problem with his bike. He went back. He lost all kinds of times. So the next dude that shows up is one of the local kids, the guy that they thought was probably going to win. You know, oh yeah, he's gonna win, and he struggled to get up that hill so hard, and he had people helping, and he just was beyond. It was beyond his deal.
Yeah.
And the organizer guy's like, well, I guess we probably need to make it harder.
Yeah.
And then that was his realization that there's some riders out there that are kind of a little different level than what he was used to.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, you have to agree, you know, I kind of feel for the promoters because, you know, if they're not riding that type of terrain, imagine, you know, looking at it and if you're not riding that kind of terrain to be able to kind of essentially estimate, you know, what's doable or what's not doable, you know, because they have the fear of if the whole race just comes to a bloody screaming halt, you know, then they're like, oh shit, everyone hates me and everyone's screaming at me, you know. But then again, and I've talked to some of them, then you have people bitching in their ear going, oh no, you know, I mean, we should be able to just, you know, race it, like finish it. And it's like, well, that's not what we're trying to, you know, not trying to achieve here for the hard enduro. And, you know, so you have a certain amount of people that just want to be able to essentially ride it, cakewalk it. And I'm like, well, maybe this isn't for you, bro.
No, they call it extreme for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, if it was just a XC, it would just be an XC, but that's the whole point of extreme. And kind of like you alluded to in the Romaniacs is there becomes times when shit gets gnarly enough and you see it at Erzberg where you need to team up.
Yeah.
You know, you need to help a guy out. He helps you. And that's part of extreme. You know, it comes into that. And like you said, it's like a chess game. You need to calculate and, you know, when to give. And, you know, and karma's a thing too. I mean, I found myself at Erzberg, you know, even though I mashed, you know, through that many racers to move ahead, I still helped a guy on a beta, you know, pull his bike up. I mean, the guy looked at me, he's just like, please, you know, and he was in a real precarious situation and I was there. And, you know, and it's kind of funny. It kind of dawned on me. It's like, well, you know, you're not going to get to the front. I mean, you're going to keep knocking off riders, but, you know, there's no podium for you. Nope. So, hey, why don't I help this guy out?
He might have a guardian angel that comes help you somewhere down the road.
Oh, who knows? You never know. Actually, an Austrian told me that in Romania, where, you know, we're helping out a guy and we'd all helped each other a little bit here and there. And then there was some bogey, another guy, and he just blew the trail off on a side hill. And I'm there and they're like, hey, you know, help us. And I'm like, he's not part of our pack, man. And he just looked at me and he goes, you may need help someday. And I pitched the bike into the side of the hill. Fuck it. Let's get him.
Yeah. You know? Turf wars are not acceptable. You're all on the same turf.
Yeah.
Everybody's there to do the same thing and help each other out if you need to and move on. I mean, I rode with 2 or 3 guys the entire race almost. We would, you know, pair up. One guy had a GPS that worked, one guy didn't. And some days the next guy would have one that worked, the other guy didn't. You know, some people were better at navigating, some people were better at just brute force. And collectively, everybody had their strong points. And if you didn't have everyone involved, you probably weren't going to succeed on your own.
Well, and that's kind of, isn't that? That's kind of the true adventure of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the community.
There becomes points in time where, yeah, you can solo most of it, but, you know, here and there, again, here's that chess game. There may be a time where it's like, okay, I'm going to solicit help. And I always kind of look at it like as a contract. And, you know, it's like if somebody helps me and I help them, and, you know, you have a third party come in, it's like maybe, because they're not part of my contract. My original contract was I helped you, you helped me, and we go on. And off you go, almost like business.
Oh, yeah.
And so if somebody else comes into that contract, then, you know, that's maybe where I break. Because a lot of times you have people continue to show up. and you're like, hey, man, sorry, we're moving on. We completed our contract.
This party's full.
You need to get your next person, form a contract, and move forward.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Again, I think the biggest thing that one of the neat things that Silver has in Kellogg, Idaho is they have almost this Euro feel with having the village is really centered around the gondola base, which really keeps all the happenings concentrated in a really nice area. And then everybody funnels up the gondolas to the ski resort, and everything happens at altitude. And it's completely rare. And I think there's the potential for prologues in the downtown. The ski resort owns the property all the way to the city limits. I think it has boundless potential.
Let's get the contract. I can build enduro cross tracks.
Yeah.
Prologues.
You built the Works track this year, right?
Yeah. Works race in Vegas is
in the Orleans?
In the Orleans Arena. Yeah, it's one of the highlights of the year for me. Get to go there for a week and drive, operate Bobcats and try to keep Chuck from running over me with a big wheel loader. But
you gotta watch out for Chuck. He's dangerous. He's small, but he's incredibly dangerous. He's like a badger.
Yeah, like a honey badger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he don't care. You get him in a 988 Cat front end loader and you're in a little skid steer. He's just going nuts, and you got to keep your distance. Could run you over.
It's pretty scary, man. Pretty scary. So you're heading out to Silver?
Yeah, Silver Mountain next weekend.
Yeah, I can't believe it's almost here. So actually we got this weekend, so it's like 8-9 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
About 8-9 days. So yeah, there's all sorts of, I think Colton Haker's coming out. Keith Curtis is going to be there. Tristan Hart. Maybe Quinn Wetzel. I'll be racing pro class as well. There's just going to be a litany of beasts. I think Max Gersten might be coming up. It's going to be off the hook, man.
Yeah, and then, if you keep it local, our Pipestone crew is going to be there in full force. So I know Cameron's going to race. Keith, obviously, of course. Kale's going to race. Rob's going to race.
Really?
Yeah, Rob's going to tie on the old race helmet again for a little jaunt.
Throw it down?
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be trying to be competitive or anything, but he's going to go out there and have a good time.
Well, that's a neat thing about a race like that is being on a big mountain to get the opportunity to even ride that terrain.
Oh, yeah.
Once a year, just to go and ride it is badass. And also, especially for the fans, where they keep multiple chairlifts running so people can go from point A to point B. They can almost watch parts of the race aerial from the lifts, and then you can watch all that. We've had a dog break into the studio.
Yeah, that's not me panting. That's
I think you are panting. Now he thinks he's in trouble.
I think because you turned the heat up in here.
Yeah.
It's got to be at least 90 by now.
It's kind of warm.
Yeah, and here I am wearing my hunting gear.
So you didn't have a shirt underneath that?
No.
Really?
No, I just rock the hoodie.
That's it?
That's all I need.
You don't have an undershirt?
No. Nope. I'm free.
Yeah, doesn't that chafe your nipples?
Not really. They're calloused from all the years of
erection,
wearing the chest protector and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I would wear the chest protector every day. Maybe I wouldn't have stuck my handlebar through my chest wall 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's never good.
Yeah, that was kind of fun to go to Erzberg just after having a hole in your chest. But I don't know. I'd already booked everything, right? So
no backing down now.
Nobody likes a quitter.
Quitters never win.
No. It's kind of funny. There was something I've always been meaning to ask you, and I noticed you have this kind of peculiar communication with mobile devices where you still have a flip phone. And most of the time...
Uh-oh.
You still have it?
Do you have a drum roll?
Did you upgrade?
Do you have a drum roll?
Did you upgrade?
Do you have a drum roll?
No, don't say it's true. You've ruined everything. Kevin has a smartphone.
No.
You fucking traitor.
It's not a smartphone. It's an device.
Yeah.
It's no phone.
It's an iPhone.
No, it's not. It's a mini iPad. I took my iPad and I exchanged the contract for my iPad for this handy little device.
It's the same fucking thing.
But it doesn't have a phone. There's no phone.
Really?
Yep.
So you still have a flip phone?
Still have a flip phone. Same number.
Then what's the fucking...
Same everything.
What's the point?
Oh, just a sec. I'm going to hang out with my phone. My device for a little while.
It's a fucking phone. He's lying.
No, it's a miniature iPad. Look, it's got Pandora, Gaia, Google Earth.
Yeah, so does my shit.
Yep, but I have no phone.
You're full of shit.
You can't call it.
I don't believe you.
Nope.
So you carry that and a flip phone.
Both.
That's retarded.
No.
You don't even answer your goddamn flip phone, so I don't even know why you even bother carrying a phone.
I carry two phones.
So why do you carry that?
Well, I carry a phone and a device because it plays Pandora. I was carrying my iPad, and I'm working heavy equipment and doing all this, and I smashed the screen out, completely obliterated it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to take it in and get a new screen. Take it in, and I'm like going, wait a minute. All I want to do is listen to music, do Facebook. That's it. Google Earth is fun. Different things I do at home. Some things we can't talk about.
Porn.
Well, that's a different...
That's a lot smaller screen, though. I don't know how you enjoy your porn on that.
No, I Bluetooth to my mega screen. Come on.
It's a hot and wet spot?
Come on. I got a full media room just for my wet spot.
There you go.
So I go, if I just get a new screen, I still have to carry this bulky iPad around to listen to music. So I said, give me a device. It's not a phone. Give me a device that I can use to listen to music. I can Gaia. I can do all these things.
Let me see it.
No.
You're a liar. It's a goddamn phone.
The funny thing is...
Let me see it.
You don't have the security code. It's 1111.
Yeah.
No. The funny thing is that I set it up, right? And then I go, I need to have an Apple account,
Oh, you're lying.
And I'm like,
I can tell.
I'm like, I'll just get Jackie's Apple account and just do it on hers. So I get all of Jackie's tech messages, and so I'm monitoring my wife the whole time with this device. I see all her calls. But her phone number
Dude, that's sick. This is like Fatal Attraction, except with porn.
Yeah, but my phone doesn't ring. Hers rings. Mine doesn't ring because it's not the same number.
This seems incredibly complicated.
But yet on the iPhone, whenever you have an Apple, program running, or you're buying an Apple, application, it just comes up as hers. Since I'm using hers, all her devices or all her Apple things come up on my phone. So I get to click into pictures and see the pictures that she takes. I get to see the calls that she receives.
So what part of this do you think is not twisted?
Well, let's just see what I do with it. But for the most part, now when we're in Europe, I'll be able to go in and WhatsApp people and Facebook and communicate with that. And then also the devices can be paired, so I can see where you're at on the mountain. You can see where I'm at. We can go back and forth with Gaia. It's going to be great. And then I've got a flashlight now that I didn't have before. I've got navigation.
It's a phone. It's a phone. It's a phone.
Look into the light.
It's a phone.
No, I can't even begin to tell you how bad Google is with navigation, so I won't be using that.
Yeah, it's pretty poor.
I trust Garmin long before I do Google.
So what I was going to say is there's an interesting concept that I've thought a lot about, and you're pretty notorious because of your lack of communication with your shitty flip phone that if we
which has better cell coverage than any other phone, by the way.
That's probably true.
Oh, yeah.
But so we set things up and we're going to go ride or we're going to go do something, and you kind of set it up and then you go dark. You're like hard to get a hold of, and like you want to strangle you, or I want to strangle you. And then, then I'm like talking about it. I'm like, dude, why don't you just get like a proper phone? And you're like, well, no, I set my plan and that was a plan. So the more I've thought about it, this is my hypothesis. So think about this. If you're old enough and I'm old enough to remember when there wasn't cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
And when there was pagers even and all that kind of crap. And if you're going to go riding with someone or hunting or going to go camping or meet, you like called, you made a plan. And even if it was like 2-3 weeks out, like that was a plan.
Yeah.
Like unless there was like a death in the family, you friggin' showed up.
Mm-hmm.
You showed up to ride, you showed up to hunt, you showed up to camp, whatever. Well, now with the texting, just this incessant texting back and forth, I have the feeling that a lot of people agree to shit they have no intention to doing. Like, oh yeah, hey, we'll go do that like next week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay.
And they've always got an out.
Yeah. And then in the last second, you can just send an out. And I think that's why people don't commit, because they know that, oh, yeah, I'm down with that. And then everybody bails out at the last second because they don't have to call you. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to feel like a bitch, as much, because they can kind of just text and go, oh, I'm out.
Smiley face, emoji.
Exactly. So here's my hypothesis is this incessant texting has basically
fucked humans.
Yeah, it's made people bail out where they don't stick to what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah, there's a term for that. Dysfunctional. There's functional and there's dysfunctional.
Yeah, but I thought you had a different term. It was digital dysfunction.
Oh, technoperipheraitis or detard?
Detard.
If you're a detard.
What is a detard?
Detard. Oh, I'll show you what a detard is. We're supposed to go riding tomorrow, right? Well, kids got to go to school. Wife's going to go to work, make all the money. You're a loser. So here's what I'll do. I'll just send a text. Okay, blink, I'm out.
Yeah.
Covered.
Just like that.
I'm a detard.
Yeah.
I just dysfunctionally detarded out.
Because you don't have to call and actually be kind of responsible.
No, you don't have to hear the human emotion.
Yeah.
The other side. Oh, I'm not going to be there. Why not? Oh, well.
Kids go to school. Don't kids go to school every day?
Yeah. Kids? What are those?
I think they're small. They cost a lot. They're expensive. They take all your shit.
Yeah. They're just not for me, but.
So they have everything.
So everyone else has one or two, and now they've got a D that allows them to diss their friends.
Yeah.
So this is a diss device, So long story short, get one. Don't use it as a phone. Don't text with it. Use it for the advantages of having internet coming into your pocket constantly, for whatever reason you might want to use it. We know why Bill would have one, but
we got a laugh from the gallery on that one.
But the rest of us are just going to use a flip phone.
Yeah.
Call me up. Let's make a plan. Let's stick to it. And if you have that skill.
Well, I think that's what you do. You make the plan and then you go dark so nobody can get a hold of you.
That way the plan doesn't change.
Yeah.
For the most part.
It's kind of dark and black, but I like it.
Well, it's the German. It's the German in me,
The German in you?
Yeah. Just, it's this way or the highway. You must.
Eastern German or Western German?
Southern.
Southeastern or Southwestern?
Mostly Southeastern.
Okay.
Well, my grandfather, is from what was previously Poland. After the war, it became Germany. My Oma, grandmother, was Southern Bavarian German, who actually was part Italian. So they were mixing Poles and Italians and then...
And the Germans.
And then, boom, here comes Miller.
Yeah.
On my dad's side, Miller von Mueller was like their original name when they came to the country. But on my mother's side, they're from Germany. My mom's from Germany. She's not from America. So first generation born American, but with this real staunch German mentality. And for some people, it's kind of a, detractant, but for others, they they can see that it's good for order. It's good for
Get in the line.
Yeah, you must. That's the favorite thing for a German to say. You must.
I don't see that. You seem quite free and flippant. I think you're like the anti-order.
Well, that's the Cherokee. That's the Cherokee version.
You just threw a curveball.
Yeah, there's
So
a little,
now I got
little Indian in there too.
Now I got Polish, Italian, German,
and just a little bit of Native American.
Cherokee
From the Oklahoma region.
Well, I thought you said you were the first generation.
This is on
German.
my dad's side. Dad's side. See, the Von Mueller name was...
What was your Cherokee? Did you have an Indian name?
No, runs and squirts.
Well, last weekend you were Shart and Chief. Charter.
Hey, Keith, man, can I borrow a little toilet paper?
Hey,
I think there's a pea-sized shart.
Hey, could you cut off a piece of your shirt?
You're not using that headband, are you? Right?
A bubbler.
Well, luckily I caught it. I caught it early enough.
I think you're struggling on the Kingslayer.
The Kingslayer, that's appropriately named, right?
Yeah.
It slayed. That's for sure.
It did.
Yeah, don't go there without a gummy tire on.
Yeah.
At least have a decent regular tire, not a spun out, slight slick tire, but that's all right. I knew I was going to tally along the backside.
You should have a proper attitude as well.
Yeah. I mean, 4 hours in, I think I was still pretty okay.
Yeah.
You know, the first 3 hours I was pretty upbeat. And then fourth hour, I was kind of like, well, when I got kind of lost a few times and for some reason, and I don't know how in the world this happens, but when you need to hear a dirt bike in the forest, you can't hear one.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I mean, they complain about noise and, it scares everything. And, you guys are just noisy gas guzzlers.
And you're sitting in the forest going,
I'm 100 yards away. And
where the fuck are those guys?
I can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
I can't hear nothing.
That is ironic.
And I even took my earplugs out.
No, don't say it's true.
No, I was like, they gave me shit for having my earplugs in, so I'm gonna take my earplugs out.
Well, yeah, we give you shit because like if you're lost and we're revving bikes and you can't hear us because you got fucking earplugs in, then I don't know, dude.
Huh?
Exactly. We get a lot of that.
What?
Huh?
That's all part of my protective plan for the future.
I know you use that for the Forest Service.
The Forest Circus.
Forest Circus.
Yeah, when they say you can't go here, I'm like, what? I can't hear you.
No speak of the English.
No understand. So
yeah, we'll probably have to save the Forest Circus for another day. That's a full discussion.
Oh my God.
Lots of love there.
Forest Circus. We're not going to go into that.
I thought about having Terry White on. What do you think about that?
Carrie,
excuse me. I knew a Terry White as well.
Yeah, no, he's a well-rounded individual.
That'd be interesting to see kind of his current take.
He's our knight in shining armor sometimes.
Sounds like it. It's interesting. I had this question from people down, DMing me as far as with the show, wondering why Forest Service offices in different states are so different. Like you have some offices that are working on single track trails and somewhat, promoting and working with
Idaho.
And then you have
Colorado,
Montana, who is basically anti everything.
They're like the Germans of the off-road world. They're like Germany for the United States.
Like the old Germany.
You can't do this. You can't do that. You shouldn't go there. You shouldn't do this. Blah, 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 blah. So
too many rules.
Too many. That's where the earplugs come in handy.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. Well, you know what it's like to get caught.
To take the rap for a whole crew, actually, including you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I told you, don't take your helmet off. Cover your sticker up and don't stop. James was like, oh, yeah. Hey, hi. James Stearns. Good to meet you. Yeah, great. What are you guys doing here? Oh, what?
Well, I gotta tell you.
What's this ghillie suit for?
Well, they jumped. They literally, if I wouldn't have stopped, I would have taken them physically out.
There would have been some blood.
There would have been blood if I would have stopped. And they literally hid behind the trees and jumped out like the boogeyman. And for some reason, I don't know why the hell I was in front, because we had some fast people with us.
Because we knew that where the trails merge might be a bad spot.
Maybe that's true. So, quite honestly, I really tried to be the Boy Scout. Follow the rules, do all these things. And then once I basically learned that most of these people are semi-evil,
rabid,
lying, treacherous, corrupt people,
scum.
Once I've learned that, I got to be honest, it's hard for me to find a reason to give a fuck about the forest circus or anything they have anything to do with.
Yeah, and like you opened with here on this discussion, certain states are different than other states.
Yeah, which is...
Certain forests are different than other forests. We just happen to live in the epicenter of anti-motorcycle, wilderness. They promote wilderness. They promote Yellowstone Park, Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem. And in reality, for us, our biggest problem is the bear. The grizzly bear is their baby.
There's plenty of them.
Protect it.
Well, we have the wolf babies too. And there's more wolves and more bears than we even know what to do with. And what's funny is the wilderness thing. Actually, no one's really complaining about the wilderness because nothing's going on there. It's the shit that isn't wilderness they're trying to turn into wilderness.
Yeah, we've been in a 30-year battle with that.
That's bullshit.
The WSA, which is short for Wilderness Study Area.
I thought it was a wanker study area.
Yeah, well, you go up in the woods and find those dudes, you probably find it. They're having a little wank.
The wank.
But the WSA that we have to battle with is, been going on since 1977. And what was it, June 6th this year was the final date for public comment and blah, blah, blah. And it's being pushed as a wilderness. That's what they want. They want it to be a wilderness. Problem is that 20 years ago, after they had the WSA designation, the Forest Service still didn't own the land. So it wasn't Forest Service land. It was owned by the lumber companies. And the lumber companies had been in there since the late 1800s, logging, building roads, doing all this, human activity. And wilderness is by designation, by definition, land untouched by man.
Yeah, so it doesn't fit the parameters of what
doesn't fit. The only way to make it fit is to lie. And that's what they do.
Well, they're good at that.
They're good at that. When they lie, they create fear. The fear is a propaganda machine that creates revenue. The revenue comes in. They spend it in, litigation. Now we've got a business here. That's what they're running. Not the Forest Service, but the opposition to us.
The litigation business.
It's a business. They want to make money so they can spend it in litigation. And if you live in a state or a forest region where those people, the opposite of us, are not so powerful, they don't have much say. They get their share. The land managers look at the on the ground conditions and they say, we've got timber to harvest, we've got fire to fight, we've got roads to build, we've got mining to do, we've got recreation, and so they manage. In our situation here, they don't. They just go after, we've got to stop the bleeding, and that is the litigation. How do we stop the litigation? Which they'll never do. It's constant. It
seems interesting. I read a story. I think the guy's name is Justin Olson. He does some photography and editorials for mountain bike magazines, and I think he's out of the Missoula area. And I read an article that there was something close to 180 miles of single track somewhere south of Missoula, and it essentially got shut down. And for once, the mountain bikers and the dirt bike off-road riders got together, filed suit, just like those other assholes do. Because, we all know, when you talk about being against the law, it's like, well, what is a law? Unfortunately, a lot of laws now are some group greased more assholes than the next group to get what they wanted. It's a it's a sum game of win or lose.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
So they come in and they bring the money, they bring the heat, and they get what they want. Fuck everybody else. It's about who wins. So they took that tact and they sued the Forest Service collectively and opened those trails for a year. And they went back to clear those suckers out. No one had been there. I read the article where they're finding moose paddles and elk drops like on the trail.
Oh yeah.
No one had been in there at all.
No, because it's scary.
And it's honestly these buttholes who come and hike once a year. How far do they go in?
3 miles.
Tops. 3 miles in, 3 miles out. All right, shut the whole thing down.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I think we need to do some re-education. Maybe the hard way. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my saying is if they're going to outlaw having fun, then only outlaws will have fun. So get out there and enjoy it. No matter where you're at. Obviously you don't go into the wilderness much, but you can tickle it. But, those are pretty, sacred grounds. Stay out of them. But all these other areas that they're calling a wilderness or a wilderness study area or a proposed wilderness or a roadless area or whatever, until Big Bill Clinton came along, there was roads everywhere. Yeah. There was forest stuff going on. This roadless thing was just one pen strike that created roadless areas that didn't exist as roadless areas. There was roads. So long story there, but now we just go back into those areas and that they called wilderness or they called roadless and reroute them. Fine. Yeah. I like to think of it as native trails.
Oh, for sure.
They're native.
Well, they are native. Most of them, they've been there through mining, exploration, and again, like I don't have a problem with rules and laws that seem to be based on something. Now, the original wilderness from Teddy Roosevelt, fine. I get it. I have no need to be in there. But all this other quasi, bullshit where we've seen, and that's another thing, people get a rap where they're like, hey, you guys, shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that because, you're going to make us lose everything. It's like, fuck, dude. What have they given? They're on a full take mission. You can pacify them all you want, placate them all you want, and they're going to fucking take everything they can from you.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care. There's no soul. They don't care. They don't care if you're being good. They don't care if you're being bad. They're going to take it. They're going to take every inch of it.
Yeah. The big turning point for me was maybe late 90s. All this stuff with the roadless thing coming on and the forest managers having to do all these new rules and everything. We still stuck to the original trails that were legal. They're legal. They're open. And you would run across people who were convinced, no matter what, that you're breaking the law.
Yeah.
That trail is closed.
And they have not read the regulations.
They don't even care.
Idea. They don't give a shit.
Care.
They're ready to throw rocks. They're ready to throw down.
Everything.
And it's a legal open trail.
Yep.
So then it makes you think like, well, fuck, why should I even ride legal trails? If I cop shit on legal open trails.
Doesn't mean they're not going to hate you no matter what.
Exactly.
I even had one person say, well, if this trail is open, I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk to my legislator and I'm going to get it closed. And then at that moment I thought, it's you versus me.
Yeah.
And I'm probably 100%, maybe 110% convinced that I was here before you.
Yeah.
And so you're guest in my world, and you're not going to tell me what I can and can't do.
Well, what it breaks down to, and we'll save this for another discussion because it can go on forever. But essentially, what you got here is an ideological war. You have people that don't want you, no matter what.
No,
and no reason, no logic, nothing works. Just like our politics.
No, they're running scared.
So
they're scaredy cats.
So I'm at this point where,
well, there's one solution. and that is just free ride. Don't even ride on trails, because then they can't say you're riding an illegal trail. Now I'm just riding. That's my new mentality.
Well, and if you have no one out there, no one to bitch.
Yeah, a lot less chance of running into somebody when you're going cross country. Nobody there. So,
yeah.
It's the old, if the tree fell in the forest, nobody's there to hear it. Did it make any noise?
That's true. Man, I've been out in some of these badlands, just out riding and technically maybe you're not supposed to be there. And you look at it and you go, I've never seen anyone here. Nobody comes here. There's no tracks. So you're saving it. You're saving it for what? For the next generation that's not going to use it?
That's too lazy because they're stuck in their device.
That's right.
Detards.
Even though you got a phone and you're lying.
No, it's a device. Yeah, well, I think I was with you on that trip through Canyonlands one time.
Yeah.
When we were riding, and we ran across some guys that were walking with like although you weren't there this year, but when we did our little fun run,
yeah,
we came out on that one particular river drainage.
Yes.
And there was 4 guys walking down the river bottom. We're riding up
in sandals.
Yeah.
Jesus sneakers.
Yeah, they were in their Jerusalem cruisers.
Right on.
And their Lord boards. And we look at them, we're like, these guys are obviously like probably pissed that we're here. They didn't really seem all that upset. They were walking with inflatable rubber rafts on their back.
Yeah.
And they were going to walk until they could get to a point where they could get into water and navigate downstream. And I thought, they're doing the same thing we do.
Yeah, how's it any different?
They're out adventuring. They're out enjoying the company that they have.
Yeah.
They're seeing new terrain. They're trying new tactics, and they're enjoying themselves. And so we wave, they wave, everybody's happy. I'm sure after we were gone, they were probably like, what the heck's going on here?
Who knows? I mean, what a concept. I can tell you from spending a lot of time, pretty much the whole winter in Arizona, where I would typically park, I would run into horseback guys, joggers, mountain bikers, UTVs, Jeep guys, literally all kind of going back and forth out of this central location. Nobody got bent with each other. It was like, hey, we're all here. It's public land. We're all doing our own thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's okay. So, yeah, that's what blows me away. It's like, people, it's like enjoy your own shit. You don't need to dump on everyone else.
Hypocrites.
I guess, something like that. Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention for people interested that I forgot about silver is kind of the format. So I'll give you a quick format of how the race is going to go down. On Saturday, they're having all of the classes, the C and B classes run, and they'll run their race on what I'm told to be a fairly flowing but challenging course. And later in the day after that race is a qualifier on something to around the 15 to 20 mile mark, looking at something the guy should complete it in under an hour. And that will set the starting order for the Sunday A and pro race. And as you qualify, you will qualify sequentially, and rows of 10 will go every 30 seconds on Sunday. So the top 10 qualifying guys, that's the first flight. 30 seconds later goes the next flight of 10, next flight of 10, so on. And again, they're not so sure, how long it's going to take for the guys to get around the course. They're really trying to make it as difficult as possible. They're basically saying if the top leaders can't make a lap in 2 hours, then it'll essentially be a 1-lap race. If the top guys can make it around a lap in 2 hours, then it'll basically become a 2-lap race. And
I wonder what the AMA's got as far as their sanctioning criteria. Usually they say it needs to be a 3-hour race plus 3 hours plus.
Yeah.
So if it's 2 hours, Maybe they've got a minimum they need to keep.
Yeah, you're right. With the AMA, there are some stipulations. Like I know they have to have a qualifying. That's part of the AMA sanctions. And so they were looking at the top 150 riders from the pro and AA and pro and A classes will get to start for the main race on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And they may even make that number a little larger, but right now it's set at 150. I know Greg told me that there's well over 300 people registered. And so it's going to be a hell of an event, man.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome. And, looking forward. I also know I believe the Abbotts are coming up, Cooper Abbott, Destry Abbott.
Very nice.
And, it's just awesome. It'll be awesome to see all those guys. And, as you know, it's a small world, and we all hang out a little bit together and run into each other in all parts of the world. And it's good to see it come to our region and to have such an incredible place for an event.
Yeah.
So pretty stoked for that. Hopefully my ribs will be a little more healed too. So
yeah.
So
get out and train.
Should be a bonus. Yeah, we're working on it. Tomorrow's a big training session as well.
You gonna go King Slay it again?
I think so. I think it's gonna be a timed event.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So Keith will do 2 laps?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
Keep him in check?
I'll do my best. He's hard to keep in check, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Usually it only happens like a little bit at a time. Maybe you catch a slip up here and a slip up there, but there's not a lot of it.
No. It's fun watching him do things 2 and 3 times while you're struggling once. And then he's coming back down, and then he goes back up, and then he comes back down, and then he goes back up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's quite the sight to see.
No, it's cool. It's definitely cool to see, and it's keeps you on your toes. That's for sure. Hey.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, cool, man. What else you got going on?
Oh, just doing a little dump trucking and some dirt work and living the life up in the mountains.
Yeah. Kind
of hiding out. Got bears in the yard and moose and elk and all those fun things.
Cool.
But it's been the last 3-4 years has just been work for me.
Yeah.
Building a nest egg.
Oh, I've seen your nest egg. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool setup.
I'm thinking about doing a miniature Ayresburg.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah, I think I could probably put on about a kilometer or 2 of really technical riding, and
that'd be super mini.
And call some little sections, like mini Carl's dinner, like lean pockets or something, and then green hell we'll call something like green squirt or something, and
no. So it's going to be a hard enduro on 50s?
Well, no, I think you better bring your trials bike. It's going to be more trialsy oriented.
I'd like to see 50s in either like animal suits.
Yeah, you could bring that if you want.
Or onesies, maybe.
Yeah, panda suit.
That'd be all right. Yeah, Renegade Panda. I heard they're closing the mine. Is it the Bannock Gold Mine by Whitehall?
Golden Sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could have our Ayresburg there.
It looks like Ayresburg.
Yeah, except it's gold, not iron.
I like gold.
Maybe everybody could come home with a pot of gold. Clean your air filter and just get 2 or 3 ounces.
Like Butte.
Pay for your ride.
Leprechauns.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to think about that.
See if you can get the BLM to sign up for that one.
Yeah. I don't know. Do they own it?
Yep.
The BLM owns it.
Pretty sure.
See, but how fucked up is that? So BLM owns it, and you can literally remove an entire fucking mountain.
Mm-hmm.
An entire mountain. But you can't go ride a dirt bike out in scrub desert country that nobody goes to.
No, you can't disturb the sage chickens. But they need the gold.
Well, I need chicken. I eat a lot.
Without gold, you can't make these.
Phones?
Devices.
It's a phone.
So with no gold, there's no device. There's no device, there's no mankind. So man exists for the gold.
I think I could throw my phone away and I'd still be here.
Well, try 20 years from now and see what happens.
I've done it before.
See if you can mold with the Borgs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a new human race. They're just Borged out.
Borged out?
Yep, Borgies. We'll call them Borgies.
Isn't he the chef from Sesame Street? Borgie.
I don't know. I don't get up at 6 on Saturday to watch Sesame Street anymore.
I'm not allowed to watch cartoons.
Just South Park.
Yeah. Yeah. Who killed Kenny?
Kenny's still dead?
I think so. I think he dies every episode.
He does.
I think. Well, shoot, dude. Well, maybe we'll talk again. It'd be cool to have you on. I know we're getting set. We'll have silver, and then fairly soon after, we're going to head to Romania. Bromania.
Bro,
dude, I do
to
call
bro down with our brujas.
I do call it Bromania because that's where.
Who are you most excited to see in Bromania?
As far as someone from other countries or someone from Romania?
No, just anybody in the bro pack there.
That's a hard one. Man, Paul Bolton is always awesome to hang out with.
Excuse me, yeah.
He's always a good time.
Too bad he's injured.
Yeah, so I don't think he's going to be up.
And there's a mini Bolton coming.
There is. There's a mini Bolton on the way. So congratulations to Lisa and Paul.
Yeah.
Friggin' awesome. They got little bolts.
Little bolts.
Have you heard, is it a boy or a girl?
I don't know, but I think they should name it Kevin. Just because.
I think that's sick.
They'll be like, they got to come up with a British version, though.
Is there any reason that otherwise that I should think that the baby should be named Kevin besides what I'm thinking right now?
No.
Okay.
Clear your head. No.
I mean, you're the one who said Kevin.
Oh, it's a good name, you know.
Really?
No, I'm thinking something like Nigel or something
Horatius.
Like that. It's got to be a total Brit name. Just it has to be like you know, something that just reeks British.
I guess Nigel would do it.
Nigel. Yeah. Well, let's not put any names in their heads, but whatever it comes.
I don't think you've made an impression with Kevin and Nigel though.
Whatever it comes out is, we'll still love it the same. It'll be 10 years, 15 years from now. We'll be watching Mini Bolton just go crazy.
Part of the moto crew.
Yeah, and Paul, I'm sure his hair will be just stellar, just beautiful,
wavy,
thick and luscious.
The locks.
Yeah, and Lisa will still be beautiful and slender and athletic and all those things.
Easy. I see some man love going on.
Well, you know.
But looking forward to see Paul. Alfredo's going to be there.
Yeah, we get to spend some time with Alfredo. Hopefully,
I like Alfredo. He's always a smiley, good attitude. And then we're going to have Keith there, and it's going to be fun to rip with Keith because he's kind of the nonstop bunny. So we're going to have to chase him all over the mountain, which I think will be good for training.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be trained up, all right.
And I always like the McCarthys.
Oh God,
they're just great. They're great to hang around with.
Those guys are like the coolest.
Yeah, I see you got the Chocolate Mountain Ranch.
I know.
House.
I had to represent.
You did.
Yeah, I'm thinking jerseys. We need to take the whole Chocolate Mountain thing to a new level.
Yeah. I think I could add it to the Inside Enduro stuff. But it's an amazing place. I got the opportunity this winter. I went out and stayed with Dustin out at the compound, and it rained every day, and we kind of had some hard enduro sessions.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun. Hung out with Kendall Norman and their crew, and just a wonderful setup and a great family.
It's too bad they can't make it to silver.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, I thought they're going to Calgary.
They got some family reunion or something to go to. So, no, Calgary's the race that they're going to go. I think he's going to go to that race up there.
Gotcha.
So
they should just have their family reunion move to silver,
or just have their family removed.
Yeah,
and just race.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
No,
I don't know the whole extended family, but I'm sure they're gonna have a good time.
Yeah,
but we'll miss them at the race for sure. But we'll catch up at Romania, and Dustin will get a chance to redeem himself from last year. I'm sure he's probably crossing his T's and dotting his I's, getting ready.
Yeah. Yep, they're getting stronger every year. It's great, you know. I mean, that's another example when they first came out and he's gotten stronger and stronger and mentally stronger each year. And, it's cool to see. But really, I guess, we all have really, because you either do it or you just kind of like, because the people who haven't, I've seen those, but they just fade off if they can't get their mind around it and rally through the discomfort and through the new surroundings, out of their element. Some people,
the new food,
some people fold, man. And so the guys who just kind of retool and come back and hit it, always impressed.
Oh yeah,
always impressed. So Dustin and Gavin
will be probably a sleeper.
Yeah,
he gets to ride in the upper class this year, so I can't wait to see him spread his wings out.
Yeah, he's got a good attitude. I like that guy.
Oh yeah, well, the whole family's just something else.
Yeah,
it's good people.
It's good fun. I remember we had Supercross for your birthday. Wasn't that your birthday?
Yeah. Gee, how special am I?
That was pretty good.
They jumped in their jet and flew over and got a skybox, and I didn't even know they were there or coming.
Oh yeah, it was a big secret.
Yeah.
You were staying at my house.
Yeah, and then we get there and here there's the McCarthys. We're like, wow, this is so cool. And wow, they got a skybox, and wow, they're the cool. I mean, just spending time with them is like special anyway. So
yeah, it's a good crew. Well, man, I look forward to it. I think we're flying over on pretty much the same day.
Yeah,
and now we also have, we're set up in Montana now, and hopefully we'll maybe knock out a couple more. We have purchased an entire mobile unit.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, so we can do full-on mobile stuff. So I'm thinking about if we have the time to do some Cheile Grădiștei live, and we're gonna have Colton Haker, we'll have Alfredo, Keith, and I bet Bolts will show up probably.
Let's hope
to say hello. And
let's not forget the Israeli kids,
Suf and Suk. I'd imagine. I know Suf is set up, and he kind of did some incognito work in Erzberg.
Just
super proud of him.
Yeah, just covert.
Total stud.
Yeah,
I think that kid's got the potential to go all the way, man.
I would put his Red Bull helmet on him if I could.
Yeah, I mean, like now, actually.
Yeah, get him
before it gets too expensive.
Get him before Rockstar puts a contract in front of him.
That's right. The kid's mentally strong and just an animal. I love it.
Yeah, good people, good family too. I mean, family that races together stays together.
Well, seeing him come from an 85 with a 105 engine
and an auxiliary gas tank strapped to the back,
which was of poor design.
Yeah.
But the kid soldiered through, and man, it's so great to watch him develop and grow, and so yeah, it'd be fun to do something with Suf as well, and hopefully we see Suk too. So
yeah, keep him out of the trenches.
Yep. Well, cool, man. Well, I think for this evening that's about it. I appreciate you coming. It's been great. Again,
I'll do my best, Doug Markita.
That's the Doug Markita?
Yeah.
All right.
Forged in Fire. You ever watch it?
I don't think so.
Oh, you need to.
Is that on your device?
I don't watch TV on that thing.
Is porn classified as TV? Porn. You just download it?
Just download.
It's cleaner that way?
Yeah.
All right.
No tracks.
That's good to know. No tracks. Well, again, thank you, everybody. We are brought to you by Inside Enduro Media. Send us your DMs if you want to see other things. If you got comments, hit us up, man. We'll see what we can do. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Till next time, we're fucking out.
Outs.